Memory versus memorizing. Let us look at the case study of the area of an equilateral triangle. The fact is, on the GMAT math section, you are likely to find questions about the area of an equilateral triangle, and it would be efficient if you knew the formula. The formula is A is equal to half into base into height, where B is the base or side of the equilateral triangle and H is the height of the equilateral triangle. This is a very familiar formula. This can be derived into A is equal to S square into root 3 over 4, where S is the side of the equilateral triangle. The most important thing is, don't merely memorize. I am going to recommend that you work to remember this formula rather than memorize it. What distinction am I drawing? By memorizing, I mean you write this isolated factoid, area of an equilateral triangle, on an index card and drill yourself until you can successfully replicate it. That's one way to get something into your memory, but it's hard to retain it, particularly over the long term. One big problem is, on the day of the test, because of increased stress, if you forget the factoid you previously could replicate, you are stuck. You have no recourse. By contrast, true learning involves remembering something because you understand it. When you understand every step of an argument and how it fits together, that makes it very easy to remember. This is particularly true in mathematics. If you can remember the series of steps that lead to a conclusion, first of all, such learning makes the conclusion much easier to remember. Furthermore, even if you can't remember the conclusion or want to check it, you will probably remember enough of the argument that you can reconstruct it if need be. This is a much deeper kind of understanding. For example, let us look at the area of this equilateral triangle. Suppose you have an equilateral triangle with sides of length s. We know all the sides have the same length. It's not relevant for finding the area, but we also know that all three angles equal 60 degrees. We know that the formula for the area of a triangle is A is equal to half into base into height. The base here is clearly S, but we need a height. So we draw an altitude, that is a line from B to AC. So this line is perpendicular to AC. The length of this line is the height needed in A is equal to half into base into height. Point D is the midpoint of AC. So AD is equal to S by 2. Also, angle ADB is 90 degrees. Call the length of BD H and apply the Pythagorean theorem in triangle ADB. We get S by 2 whole square plus H square is equal to S square. By solving for H, you get H is equal to S root 3 by 2. Now that we have the height in terms of S, we can find the area. The area would be half into base into height, which would be half into S into S root 3 by 2, and we get S square root 3 by 4. The last formula is indeed the area of an equilateral triangle, and remembering it will be a definite time saver on GMAT math. Again, I don't want you to memorize it. Rather, I strongly encourage you to remember this 5-step argument. Practice repeating it step by step until you can flawlessly recapitulate the entire thing by yourself. Then, you won't merely remember this formula. You will